We have the story of Eldad and Medad, the two prophets. And there's a lot to learn from this story. It's amazing how a small story in the Torah, 2.25 psukim, you can basically write books on. So what exactly happened there? We know that all the prophecy that came to Am Israel came through Moshe. In other words, he was the transmitter of all prophecy. Any prophecy that anybody else had, it was first bounced off Moshe. Moshe was the vessel in where all prophecy came from, and then it would overflow and get to others. So Moshe is sitting there, and all of a sudden comes to him Hanar. Hanar, the Medrash tells us that it was actually the son of Moshe, Gershom. And it says Gershom ben Menashe. Later on in the Tanakh, it's Gershom ben Menashe. So they said, Menashe hu velo Moshe. However, they added the name, the letter Nun to him, not to embarrass Moshe, to show him that he wasn't like his father. Of course, there's a story there how he become Obed Avodah Zarah, and very sad story, tragic story. There's a lot to learn. Nevertheless, and then Yeshua comes, and Yeshua, by the way, comes, and he wants, not this Yeshua, the Benun one, and he wants to basically put him in jail. And Moshe says, listen, wait, it's okay. I wish everybody would have been prophets. Yeshua thought that he saw that their prophecy did not come from them. Did not come from Moshe. So therefore he thought that their prophecy comes from the other side, from Makom Tameh. And since if it was Makom Tameh, he didn't want it to corrupt the well-being of Am Yisrael, but introducing a unpure source of prophecy. And Moshe says, no, that's not a problem. And the Medrash tells us that Eldad and Medad got prophecy directly from HaKadosh Baruch Hu because they were humble. They didn't want to be one of the 70 Zkenim. He says, listen, we're too humble. Not like fake. Oh, I'm too humble for this. No, it wasn't like that. It's not for me to get somebody better. Because of their humbleness, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave them prophecy directly, and then Yeshua was able to see that it doesn't come from Moshe. That's what he's concerned. Moshe Rabbeinu, of course, it's not a problem. Don't worry about it. I wish everybody would be prophets. So there's a lot of lessons. So lesson number one, and I'm seeing here from Rav Moshe Steinbruch, it says, והוסיף משה לומר, המקנא אתה לי? What are you zealous for me? Don't worry about me. Why? Yeshua thought that they're trying to prophesize and somehow manipulate Am Yisrael to throw Moshe. But Moshe here says to him, המקנא אתה לי? Which is very interesting. It says, היינו, therefore, שהמנהיגות אינה שאיפתו. Leadership is not his main goal. He doesn't desire to be a leader. It just so happened that he was picked to be a leader, just so happened there was nobody else to be, but that's not his intent to become a leader. He was perfectly fine being a shepherd. There's a big lesson here. ואך כיוון שצריך העם במנהיג, and only because the people need a leader, right? Moshe עומד עליהם להראותם, because there's nobody else, the people need somebody to lead. So Moshe, you say, okay, במקום שאין ישב איש, so he became the leader. וכיוון שכך, אין בו שום תרעומת אם הקדוש ברוך הוא יעמיד תחתיו את יהושע. That's why he's not complaining that הקדוש ברוך הוא is going to make Yeshua, he's the one after him. He didn't say, oh, why Yeshua? Why not? I'm not good enough. I took him out of the desert. Why me? Why him? Why you remove? Okay, you want to take him, take him. No problem. I don't want to be a leader to begin with. So lesson number one, he says, וזהו מוסר השכל למנהיגי ישראל. This is a lesson for all the Jewish leaders. שיתלו את רסן ההנהגה when they're becoming a leader, or they were appointed to become a leader, ach letovat haklal, only for the benefit of the people. וכרצון אבינו שבשמיים, and to do what Hashem wants them to do, ולא חס ושלום לשם התנשאות, and not as a vehicle to become self-promoting and self-glorification. How many people do you know that their whole entire goal is to self-promote themselves into positions of power and fame in the disguise of doing lichvod klal Yisrael, but lema'aseh, practically speaking, it is all done for themselves and themselves only. What a lesson to learn from Moshe Rabbeinu on that matter. What a lesson. It doesn't mean that you are so selfish. You say, I don't want to be, I'm not here. Oh, somebody needs to be. Okay, so I'll be in, but not because I want to, because there's nobody else. That's the need. And by the way, all true leaders and heroes, act of heroism, are not usually, if you have an act of heroism, it's usually not the bravest guy around the troops. They're usually the ones who don't do the heroic actions. Usually, those heroes who in the battlefield do amazing things, well, people that do have fear, but they learn to conquer it. The good leaders are not the leaders who all their life were on a track to become a leader. They went to the right schools and that's why our leadership today in this country and anywhere else is bad. Because those people, if you look, I don't know since when, all these people, maybe the founding fathers weren't like this, but all these people went to the right schools, were born to the right families. You can't be, for example, today, a president of the United States without being a billionaire. You can't. So let's say, for example, here, Mr. Z wants to become president. He has all the credentials. He's okay, not that smart. Okay, never mind. Let's say he's smart. He's good looking. He's a good speaker. He's kind. He has a vision, but he has no money. He has no chance to become a president. Needless to say, president, not even a mayor. Forget about a mayor. Not even a councilman. Yeah. That's why the leaders are bad, because everything that they do in Israel is the same thing. A lot of the decisions that the leaders so-called had made were not for the benefit of the people. It was to be inscribed in the book of history. And then they're going to be outscribed. And then history is going to be rewritten. But all the actions, whether it's giving Gaza, giving Sinai, doing every single thing that those people made very few decisions, I can tell you, in the past, let's say 60 years of the existence of Israel, 50 years of the existence of Israel, very few decisions, there were decisions that were made appropriately, but rather than there were decisions that were made for self-glorification. And as the years go by, the more crucial the decisions, the bigger the decisions, the more catastrophic the decisions that come. I can go with you one by one. So that's lesson number one. Lesson number two, I don't remember, so let's go to lesson number three. Lesson number three is like this, about Eldad Amidad. We say that, we see from here that in a way Yeshua, now leave this, what we said before, that's a different thing, a different aspect of it. Yeshua was a different mahalach, let's say, than Moshe Rabbeinu. Yeshua said, what do you mean? They are prophesying? Oh, prophecy only comes from Moshe. How dare you? In other words, in that concept, we can measure it today. For the fear of people to have multiple opinions, different opinions, the generalization today is to make everybody think along the same line. We don't allow the dialogue. We're all full of baloney in terms of the rhetoric that we say, oh, we want the dialogue. We're not interested in dialogue, even in this country. You either, what are you, a liberal or a conservative? You have to be something. And then they're going to tell you what to think. In other words, you, for example, how could you be a liberal and certain things, arguments, like, let's say you're a liberal, but however you think the border control is crucial for the existence of this country. Oh, yeah, something is wrong with you. We can't have a dialogue anymore. Moshe Rabbeinu says no. The integrity of society lays upon not the oneness of opinions, but rather in multiple opinions and through an ongoing dialogue. You want to, I mean, it's going to be, okay, Rabbi, you're becoming a little social with me. No, I'm not. Listen, I'm just stating you the Gemara. Why the Gemara is so fantastic. If you look at all the, again, I'm still didn't recover from this bite that I had on my tongue. It's crazy. But if you look at the early commentaries that wrote about the Gemara, the Rambam and so on, but why did the Gemara bother to write and record every single opinion, especially if we don't count that opinion? To show you, beyond many things, but to show you the importance of dialogue. That the opinion of the other is just as important as the opinion that we went by, even though we didn't go by this opinion. But just the mere existence of this opinion is important. So if you don't think like me, no, so what? So what? But everybody has to think the same way as I do. That is a destructive pattern in society, where everybody has to think the same way, where you're not allowed to think individually. Now I'm going to tell you who to vote, because you're not capable of making the decision. I am going to tell you who to vote. I'm going to tell you how to think. I'm going to tell you how to live your... I'm sorry, this is not the way things are supposed to be. The greatness of the Gemara, that every opinion is dealt with the same, weight and importance as any other. We know that anywhere that we have a machloket between Rabbi Akiva and one of his counterparts, right? The halacha is like, no guys, halacha is like Rabbi Akiva. So why you record the other ones? Because that's important. Because that's how you reach the truth. By having different ideas, and it's okay that you don't have to think like me. However, if I feel that my point or my opinion is not truthful, or it's really invalid, or for whatever reason I feel inferior to that, therefore I will try to bully you and oppress you and restrict you to only think like me. And Moshe Rabbeinu understands that. And Moshe Rabbeinu tells Yoshua, don't worry about it. I know it's coming from a good source. It's coming from a good source. It's not like what you think that it came from the other side. It's from a good source. But I am not the opotropos. I'm not the be-all, end-all of prophecy. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants it, it comes to him. But that takes a great man. And if you look around you today, again, most people, and especially leaders, most people validate their opinion by diminishing and destroying and not allowing anyone opinions. And because of that, there's no respect. There's no mutual respect. there's no love, there's nothing. And that's how we fall. That's how society deteriorates itself. When we don't allow this dialogue, when we don't, and don't think that in the religious world is any better. We live in a society, and I told you this before. Don't think that you could go into a field where you have 1,000 flowers that are dead and there's one flower that's going to be alive and that flower is going to be you. No. If there are 1,000 dead flowers, there's going to be 1,001. You're going to be including in that. If you're going to revive that flower, you need to revive the whole entire field. In other words, we need to revive society. And we need to start understanding that the opinion of the other is valid. You don't have to agree with him. That's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion. You have a free choice, and I respect your free choice as much as I respect my free choice. As long as we're loyal, we're working for the same thing. We want to make a better society. Of course, there are laws and limits, and there are boundaries that we all should obey. All. But nevertheless, it's okay. You can have another opinion. Today they don't like it. Today you can think for yourself. You can think for yourself. Whether it's and I can tell you this personally. Because, my opinions many times are not the mainstream opinions. I really could care less. I don't care. I have to give din cheshbon for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for what I truthfully feel that I'm doing the right thing or saying the right thing. Well, many times I get away with it. How? Well, you're a Sephardi. It's okay. You're already an outcast. So that's okay. I don't really care. If I know it, I have to validate my opinion to make sure it's true, it's truthful, it's loyal to its source. I won't bring something out of Buddhism, call it Judaism, without any source. It's not. It has to be loyal to what we're doing here. How does it relate to Hashem, in the world of Hashem, and so on and so forth? But nevertheless, I'm entitled to my opinion. Don't tell me what to think. There are communities that will tell you how to vote. You have to vote like this. I don't have to vote like anything. I have to vote the way I want, and if I want to vote, I'll vote. And if I don't want to vote, I won't vote. And it's my business, not yours. We think that chaos comes from multiple opinions and so on and so forth. But truthfully, chaos starts from that. You want an opinion for that? Look who is stronger, North Korea or the United States?
North Korea.
The United States. Why? Because until now, who said North Korea? You have to be a moron to say North Korea.
Why is it?
In a minute,
Yes,
1 minute,
yes.
in a minute.
Sorry.
The United States, because North Korea, there's no such thing as individuality. So it's a defective society where you have one figurehead at the top and everybody else in a way does not exist. That's why they look the way they look. The United States, it's the strongest nation in the world, and not because of its people or its money or its weapons and so on and so forth. All of these are just a result of the openness and the fact that people are allowed to have their opinion and their individuality. Once we're going to take this from the people, the ability to express themselves whichever way they want, to think whichever way they want without labeling, whatever, but that's what happens to us right away, right? When we find somebody that doesn't agree with us, how are we going to bend them to think like us? By abandoning his thoughts. How are we going to do so? I'm going to start labeling him. So I started to use the same technique as well, right? Argument's sake. Argument's sake, I don't approve of homosexuality. Why? Because the Torah says that. Okay? So right away, somebody will call me, you are a homophobe. I'm not afraid of homos. I'm not afraid of anyone. But why you label me a homophobe? I'm not a homophobe. Again, I'm not afraid of anyone. You're entitled to do whatever you want in your bed. But you can't tell me that's right. I choose not to do it, thank God. But I'm entitled to my opinion. You think it's right. I'm going to think it's not right. But that's okay. But no, you're going to make me say it's right. That doesn't work like this. I didn't tell you, anything what you ask for my opinion, I tell you my opinion. So I use the same thing now. What do I say? Especially to Israelis, and they get really freaked out of this. I call them, you are Yehudophobe. And I don't have a problem using that. You know what? Take that and smoke it. You can do it, so we can fight the same battle. But yes, people are afraid of it. So that's what you do to people. You intimidate them by giving them titles. But that's what it is. So Rabotai, you have to respect the other, whether you agree with them or you don't agree with them. As long as we both are working to build society and we're not doing to actually undermine society. But the dialogue has to be there. The dialogue has to be open, and it's good, and it's a strength. It's a show of strength and integrity, and it actually benefits society. And those division and compartmentalization of people into segments and specific things, it's actually destructive, and we should stop doing that. Shabbat Shalom.